Is Amari Cooper an option for the New York Jets? Let's talk about it. Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary, back with another video, and today I'll be talking about Amari Cooper and if he'll be a fit for the New York Jets, if they should trade for him, all that fun stuff. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention you can follow on social media at Matt O'Leary NY if you haven't already. You could also subscribe to the Just Jets podcast. Wherever it is you get your podcasts, you can call in, leave me a question. I'll try to get to it on the show. New episodes every Monday. So Amari Cooper may not be a Dallas Cowboy for very much longer. Well, they already have a new number one receiver. They drafted CeeDee Lamb in the first round. Michael Gallup got hurt, but you could also maybe potentially re-sign him at a cheaper cost. And, well, Amari Cooper is just that. He's a very good receiver. He's coming off of a down year because of, well, how many weapons the Dallas Cowboys have and how CeeDee Lamb took a monster step forward and is now their number one receiver. So why? We'll start with the potential of why Dallas would want to move on, what he's done, his age, all that kind of stuff, what it would cost, if it's worthwhile, all of it. So if the Dallas Cowboys were to trade or cut Amari Cooper, they would save $16 million, $18 million, and $20 million per year on the cap over the next 3 years, the remainder of the contract. Now, if the Jets or any team were to trade for that, they would only have to take care of the base salary, which is $20 million a year for the next 3 years. But here's a positive kicker. There's no dead money. So if for whatever reason, let's say you did trade for him and he wasn't very good in the first year, you can cut him and not have to pay him anything for the final 2 years of the contract because, well, there's no dead money that you have to take care of in that spot. So that's a little bit intriguing from that aspect of not having to, worry about any dead money. But what did he do over the last couple of years? Well, this year, 68 catches, 865 yards, and 8 touchdowns. It's not a bad year. Is it phenomenal? No. Is it $20 million worthy? No. But again, it kind of goes back to the targets going to CeeDee Lamb and CeeDee Lamb taking more of a bigger role in that Dallas Cowboys offense and why he has, become the bigger part of that team, really, honestly. And they're probably going to look to move on from him, whether they cut him or whether he's traded. But he's normally an 1,000-yard receiver. He went over 1,000 yards in 2015, 16, 18, 19, and 20. So that's 5 times in his 7-year career he's gone over 1,000 yards. He turns 28 in June, so that means he would be under contract for his age 28, 29, and 30 season. So you're only paying him to age 30. And then you kind of get into the cost conversation, and I would imagine he's not going to cost you very much in order to trade for him. For instance, this is years ago now, and Marshall was a couple of years older. He was 30 at the time when the Jets traded for Brandon Marshall, but the Jets traded a 5th-round pick for Brandon Marshall. Why? Because the cap and the Bears were going to save so much money by trading him, and the Jets didn't really have to pay all that much money against the cap. Well, this time they're going to have to pay a little bit more. So the Jets traded a 5th for Marshall. Gilmore this past year was traded for a 6th. He was someone who was going to be cut, a cap casualty. Julio Jones, when he was traded, he went for a 2nd and a 4th, and he had $23 million. That would be his cap hit for the Tennessee Titans. So, and I mean, let's be real here. Amari's not at the same level as Julio. So what do you think it would be? Just a 3rd, maybe a 4th? If you're telling me I could get Amari Cooper for a 4th-round pick, I might seriously consider that. I know that's crazy because, $20 million is a very high cap hit. But if you were to do that and then you're only giving up a day 3 pick to get that done, and you don't have to spend a 1st or a 2nd-round pick on wide receiver now, that kind of opens things up a little bit. So I don't have a definite answer for you. If yes, I'm 100% all in. This has to be the move. But I can tell you this, I'm very intrigued by it. And I think it is a conversation worth having. And I do see the pros and the cons on each side. Like I said, the pro, you got a true number 1 wide receiver in here, which is something that you need. He's in his prime. He's 28 years old. Maybe he's on the back half of his prime, but he's still a prime player. He's still a very good player in this league. And your wide receiver, top 3 wide receivers would be Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Corey Davis. And hopefully you resign Braxton Berrios. That's your 4th. That's really, really good. Or you can draft one at 10. Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, Drake London, Chris Olave, whoever your choice is. I don't think it's going to be Jameson Williams after the injury. You could do that, but I part of me almost likes the idea of acquiring an established player and then using that first round pick on something else. Then you could use that pick on Nakobe Dean or something like that, maybe on the defensive side, and pick 4 on the offensive line. Like, there's so many different ways that Joe Douglas can attack this offseason. There's not one plan where it's like, this is it, this is only option. But names like Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf coming on the market, I think of those 3, Amari might be the cheapest one to acquire because his cap hit, and the Jets can afford to take on that cap hit. Now, obviously, they have like $56 million in cap space. They'd have to do a little bit of working to get a little bit more, which you obviously can. You cut guys like Ryan Griffin, GVR, and just, a bunch of guys are just, you can move on from and save some money there. I got to tell you, I'm intrigued by this. Again, I'm not saying like, oh my God, Joe Douglas has to do it. It's a complete mistake if he doesn't. And I do see the cons of it, like taking on a $20 million contract. But again, if you're able to do it for a day 3 pick, then you really, really have to consider it. You really do. If they're asking for a second round pick, probably not. A first or second round pick, I'm probably not doing it because it's a lot of money that you have to pay him over, the next couple of years if you do keep him around. But I don't know. I'm looking long and hard at this one, and I'm intrigued. You let me know in the comments if this is something that excites you. Do you think it's something the Jets should pass on? Where are you at with this? Let me know. Or on social media, get at me there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll talk to you next time.